meeting is being recorded.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Let's Talk Destiny with Jamie Green. Today I am honored once again to continue our conversations with regard to the impact that incarceration has on the family. And I'm honored once again to be joined by my oldest son, who is experiencing this horrific thing personally, and consequently able to discuss with us through transparency and honesty the impact that this is having on him and his family members. Welcome back to Let's Talk Destiny.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. What a pleasure it is to even be able to have these conversations with you, because as you and I have discussed before, there are thousands of mothers being impacted by this situation, and to be able to talk about it, to hear about it, to experience it, and to know that they're not dealing with it alone, that somebody understands, is an awesome thing. And so I'm privileged to be able to share this topic with my listeners. So today, I want to start by asking you, this thought came into my mind the other day. When we talk about the impact of incarceration on the incarcerated person and the family members that love them, one of the things that didn't really dawn on me is a concern, is when you have been incarcerated, locked into this system for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, however many years, and even in that environment, you do establish bonds with certain people. You do make friendships. You do you have things in common, and you grow. Some have grow together, and have you. What has been your experience when you either personally or you observe other people who have bonded, and then say the person that they're bonded with is relocated to a different facility, or they die or something like that? What has been your experience with the loss of a fellow inmate, whether it's a cellmate or just somebody that you've bonded with?
Well, it's just like any other brotherhood, sisterhood, community, whatever the case may be. It may be a little bit more extreme when dealing with prison because the dynamics are so different. Such as a lot of situations that may arise in prison could be life or death situations. So when you form a bond with people in prison, it's already understood from this bond that if you get into something, I'm automatically into something. And as I said before, it's not like on the street where you can call a person, see how they doing, but never see them for weeks. In here, you're around each other 24/7.
Right.
So if this person really has a situation, it's no nothing. You're right there with them, and your life is on the line the same as theirs. And when you form these kinds of bonds and emotional connections with other human beings, when they leave, or some brothers, some sisters that died in prison, this affects a person severely, because another dynamic about prison is a lot of prisoners, their own blood family doesn't even deal with them in the capacity that they may deal with a person within these prison walls.
Right, right.
So you will find oftentimes that a person may say, well, this is my family. And so the love is real. and the loyalty is real. So it affects the person in a serious way when you form these kinds of bonds, and then maybe it's time for a person to move on. And this person moves on, it's like a gift and a curse.
Yeah,
You're happy to see him go, but at the same time, it's a part of your soul due to your emotions that's being ripped away.
absolutely.
So everything is just, turned up to the extreme when behind the prison wall.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you sharing that, because I was thinking the other day, about the young man that you had introduced me to, and, he was calling me mom and so forth and so on. And then he was relocated to a different facility. And then it just dawned on me that because of the way he was looking up to you and so forth and so on, and just in general, not just with him, but I started to wonder about, I know, like you said, outside the prison walls, when I hear people talking about it all the time, especially on social media, when they were close to somebody, they grew up with them, they've been friends for many, many years, whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden, this person is no more in their life for whatever reason, and the impact it has on them. And I started thinking about being, as you said, behind that wall. It's the same principle, but it's even more intense, because, like, I have friends, people that I call friends, that I talk to on the phone every now and then, or I might see them every now and then, but I still say that's my friend. But like you said, behind that wall, you all are interacting every day, all day. Um, Even when you're on lockdown, your cellmate is, the person that you see 24/7, depending on how long you're locked down. Um, and just like in any other institution, there are people that tend to migrate to each other based on commonalities and stuff like that. And so it just hit me. I wonder what that feels like for them when that person that they have bonded with leaves. And it does have an impact on you, as you said, like a part of your soul is walking out that door as well. Then you have to be wondering how they're doing wherever they are. Um, and like you said about when you have that bond there in prison, and you say, I got your back no matter what happens. If somebody jumps you or something happens to you, I got your back. So when they leave and go somewhere else, then you're not there to provide that same thing, and vice versa. So I'm sure it does have an impact. And no matter how strong a person you are, when you give a part of your heart and soul to somebody, it has to have an impact when that person is no longer there. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay. And I know I was thinking also about what, I wanted to share this for a whole different conversation, and we're probably going to have more than one conversation about this. But one of the things that I am so proud of seeing you um, accomplish during this part of your journey is, one, your personality, as far as your loyalty, being, if you down for somebody, you down for somebody. The same loyal ideology you had in the street, you still have behind bars. And I'm like, that means a lot to me. It says, as a mom. And so one of the things that you have done, and I've mentioned this to other people, is, sometimes our loved ones get behind that wall, and they're so focused on the horrific environment that they're in, that they lose sight on their themselves and their personal growth and development. And just because you're behind the wall doesn't mean you have to stop living. And so I'm proud to see the growth and development um, that you've experienced to this point. You've written and published your very first novel um, while you've been incarcerated. And so every day when I start doing some work on this children's book that I've been working on since Jesus was a baby, I say to myself, you should be ashamed of yourself because your son did a book and he's incarcerated and you're still finishing this book. And I just laugh about that, but I'm very proud of you and I publicly want to say that. But also, something else that I really want you to share with us is that you have started an organization, and I want you to tell us a little bit about the organization.
The organization is called Universal Moorish Liberation Movement. Within this organization, first of all, the first word universal. We don't support nor tolerate any social, political, religious disunity amongst our people. Because one thing that needs to be understood with our people is we got all of these hang-ups and walls up and reasons to be separated. This is why we can't really generate any serious energy or magnetic pull to create some real power for ourselves. So the first word to the movement, universal, means all religious doctrines, all political ideology. We have a place to be where we can meet as one, but you leave that division on the outside because it's not tolerated within the movement.
Yes.
Second word to the movement is Moorish. Now, Moorish, of course, as a nationality, Moorish would be another way of saying African, or what most people these days say black.
You're right.
But of course, we don't use the term black because we know that that is not an identity, but that is a social status, a political status. It means that you are civilly dead. So we stay away from black.
Right.
And we use the term that our ancestors used at points in time, which is Moorish. Third word being liberation. And we're in a situation where the colonizers have not only enslaved us, but during this slavery, they have taken our land, they have taken our cultures away, taken our true names, and all philosophy away from us to the point where we are literally empty shells just walking around mimicking our enslavement. So when we talk about liberation, the first form of liberation is to liberate the minds from ignorance.
Yes.
So once our people can start getting some knowledge of self, then we'll start having some pride and integrity in who we are. This will help generate that magnetism towards the power of building our own. And so, of course, the final word, which is movement, means that we are not stagnated. We are constantly on the move. We're constantly evolving with life because we know that everything in the universe evolves.
Right.
This is another problem that our people have, too stagnated and stuck in what was. You know, a lot of times you hear people say, well, I do this because that's what I grew up doing, or I do this because my parents did. But we got to get to the point where we understand everything in the world around us is evolving but us.
Yes.
So this movement means we're in perpetual motion. So when you hear Universal Moorish Liberation Movement, we got all types of people that are working towards our true liberation and building our own government so that we can truly uplift fallen humanity. But first, we got to do it amongst ourselves.
It's powerful. It's powerful. Now, excuse me. Now, I want to be clear, and I want to make sure that my listeners understand that the UMLM is not just for those persons who are incarcerated that have connected to the movement and that attend your daily classes and being poured into and empowered. It is a movement for all people everywhere. And so I want you to make sure that people understand that, because we as a people need to experience liberation all over. And I have designed set up, I should say, a social media presence for the UMLM on Facebook. And I want those of you who are listening to look for this page, to read the information on this page, to learn about the movement and become a part of the movement. Now, what is your goal?
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I was going to ask you, what is your overall goal? I want this to be clear to everybody listening. Your overall goal for UMLM.
The overall goal for Universal Moorish Liberation Movement is, again, that our people build our own government. People need to realize, and I say this with all sincerity, and I say this with all conviction, that a soul could muster with full understanding of what our people need. Our people need to understand that Democrat or Republican, it does not matter. Neither one of those parties do not represent the interests of Moorish people or any oppressed people for that matter.
Right.
So we gotta understand that until we realize we must have our own everything, and everything starts with politics. So when we talk about food, clothing, and shelter, that every human being needs to survive, to live, those areas start with politics. So as long as we are going to other people on our knees, begging for these basic necessities, then we constantly find ourselves in the situation that we're in. So the goal is to generate the infrastructure that builds, like we are a visible presence in our communities wherever we may be. Like the first point to the 7-point program for the UMLM is that we build the mechanism to give us that social, political, economic stability and peace, and that we don't rely on any outside nationalities or entities to build these things and secure for us. We do it as a people that have pride in who we are and who our ancestors were. And another thing is, as far as the people realizing that this movement is for everybody, our people got to get out of this mind state of the prisoner is different from the one that is still on the street.
Right.
Let me tell all of you something. You're still a prisoner. Because again, if you're not in control and in power of the basic necessities to life, food, clothing, shelter, and you have to go through the same people that enslaved you and colonize your land and everything that you have ever known, you're still going to them for everything that you need. That means you are still a prisoner the Albion supremacy. In
Yes.
other words, what they call white supremacy.
Right.
No matter how pretty it looks and change the words and try to clean it up, the fact remains that we are not in control of our own destiny. And that's what we are doing. And we're not doing it for prison. We're doing it for our people. And it just so happens that we are behind the wall. But we have an understanding that behind the wall or outside of the wall, we are all one. We are all the same people.
Yes.
And when they have policies that oppress us, they don't say, oh, well, they're in prison and they're not. These things are forced on us because we have melanin in our skin.
Yes.
They refuse to ever let us rise up to claim our throne back. So this is something that we have to liberate from them ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very well said. Now, I don't know how much time we have left, but I do want you to mention your first novel, The Ghetto Messiah, and how the information in this novel also plays into the liberation of our people. Can you just give us an overview of that?
Well, The Ghetto Messiah is to motivate all of our young men and our young women especially to realize that we all carry the potential to be messiahs for our people.
Mm-hmm.
Like many people may not realize, but the whole counterintelligence program of the FBI, back even with J. Edgar Hoover, and the same principle is still in place today. Their main focus was, and this is their own words, their main focus was with the FBI's COINTEL program was to stop the rise of a black messiah who could unify and electrify their people.
Right.
And so we know that their biggest threat, and that's the area we need to be working in. So with the Ghetto Messiah, is basically a blueprint and what needs to be done as far as unifying and how we can take these segments of society that so many people turn their backs on, like gang culture and all of that. Instead of turning your backs on them, you need to find a way to generate and focus that energy that they have, because they have the warrior spirit, because they have not been broken. So the thing is to direct that energy with proper education. And doing that, you unify the people, and you have people that are willing to stand on the front line. And this book basically gives any would-be educators or people who have a desire to see better for their people, gives them the blueprint on how to accomplish these things and to pull that spirit of the Messiah out of you, which lies deep within all of us.
Ooh, powerful, powerful, because the definition of the word Messiah itself is the anointed one. And I know a lot of people, will get offended uh, with their religious ideology. Religiosity keeps a lot of people locked up and bound up, but that's a whole nother talk show. Um, so when they see the word Messiah, they're going to automatically take offense to it. But if they would take time to study and research, and we understand that the definition of Messiah is the anointed one, and there are many of us who are anointed with specific purposes and specific visions and goals that we were designed to and created to fulfill. And so we've got to get to work doing all that we can with what we have to accomplish our goal. So again, I encourage everyone to like our YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel. There is great content and information on this channel that will alter your life. I want to remind you to go and purchase this book. Currently, it's available on lulu.com, and you owe it to yourself to get a copy of this book, especially those of you in our hometown area. Uh, you will be pleasantly surprised um, as you read this book to be able to recognize some places in town. And, you know, I just encourage everybody to purchase the book, The Ghetto Messiah. And the author name is Niamki Gamba, which is it means African warrior. And so we are out here advocating and fighting with every breath we have to make things better for the people. So again, today I want to thank my son for joining me, for his transparency and honesty. And we're going to keep working and doing what we can do.
You have 60 seconds remaining
Until we can't do it anymore. So again, thank you for joining me. I love Lulu. Lulu.com. That is his response to everybody these days when they ask him a question. No matter the question, he says Lulu.com, because we really, really want you to purchase these books and to support the movement.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
Any final words today?
Yeah, it's Lulu.com. That's where you get this Ghetto Messiah. Support it. Support yourself. Support your people. Because nobody's going to do it for us. We got to do it for ourselves.
That's right. That's right. Power to the people. Talk to you soon.